Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Maych TV. So, yeah, I'm not in the studio this week. It's humble brag time. I'm in LA. We're doing a live show with Cop Connect, but I wanted to talk about Liverpool and where they're at the moment as we head into, we're into the 17-day break between games because, of course, the Chelsea game called off at the weekend post Liverpool's win against Ajax in the Champions League, and the Ajax win is great because it's left us at least heading into that break with a glimmer of positivity. Now, that's not to say that it means that everything is great and everything is fixed and Liverpool are going to be wonderful from the moment they take back to the pitch, but it exists better in possibility, I would say, in our minds, because there's just something about seeing your team win that says they're likely to win again. So yeah, that's one big thing. As I sit here and think about the possibilities and what Liverpool need to do when they do return to action, it feels like everything is far more within their sphere of influence than it maybe would have done a week ago. I think that's fair to say, really, isn't it? Particularly how horrendous the performance was against Napoli and how negatively that left everyone feeling about the football club. But where they're at now is that, okay, they've still got injury worries. That's still going to be a major contention and a major issue they're going to have to face up to. But it feels like players are on the way back. And most important to that, and most central to that, is Thiago Alcantara, who is, like, we often have a debate about who's the most talented footballer that's ever played for Liverpool. And look, you've got the obvious, like, Mount Rushmore names associated with Liverpool, and Kenny Dalglish is up there and Steven Gerrard's up there, but anyone who watched Luis Suarez play for Liverpool often says he might be the most actual talented footballer. Burns shortly but brightly at the club. Thiago is, I don't think I've ever seen anyone better at football than Thiago Alcantara. He's like an artist. It's like and it's not just that, like, you know, it's like his foot is the paintbrush, his whole body is the paintbrush and the canvas and the paints and everything in between. He's a living work of art when it comes to the ball. You know, every single element of his body is perfectly tuned to use a football in whatever way he deems fit. And what we saw when coming off the bench in Napoli was the real encouraging sign, was the levels to what Liverpool were doing with him on the pitch to not on the pitch was stark. And it's because, and this is why he's such a rare breed as well, and why I when we talk about Liverpool's transfer policy, which is inevitably always going to be a sideline conversation, he makes things so hard because he makes things look so easy. A player of that natural technique, who's so good at football, you know, he's an absolute magician. Well, you can get magicians. There's people who are brilliant with the football, but can they press like he pressed? Do they work like he works? Do they tackle as tigerishly as he tackles? Are they as good in the air as he is? And the answer mostly is no. And that's what makes him so unique and so integral to Liverpool. And that is obviously a double-edged sword because we own him. It's a privilege to watch him, and he's great when he goes on the field. But how do you back that up? And we've had that plenty of times over the years at Liverpool, where we've had like one outstanding candidate for a position, and then the guy underneath, and through no fault of their own, is not at that level. And that's like, you know, I think back to like Fernando Torres and David and Go being a great example of that, of just you become so central around the footballer. And well, for a start, you can't really get it back up, because if you were as good as that, you'd want to be playing all those games anyway. So Liverpool's mission becomes, got to make sure that we're as best as we can possibly be when he's on the field, but also what do we do when he's not on the field for the entire 90 minutes? And that means everyone's got to step up. And the thing about Thiago, what he does, all of those things, in addition to all of those things, it's that work rate thing. It's the level, the bar he sets. Because, and look, I know Jordan Henderson's coming for some criticism this season, which, look, I don't think he's been in brilliant form, but like the idea that like all of a sudden he's crap is just, it's just people over egging the pudding, you know, I think often for a response, or just because people just like to throw absolutes around in football chat and in life chat, I guess, in general, and particularly on social media. This football team has been built in Jordan Henderson's image. You know, there's a guy who's central to how we play, his heart, his energy, his desire, and that's not, you know, we always do this about Henderson, that, you know, he's a brilliant technical footballer as well, but, you know, in terms of like how he shouts players around games, through games, how he dictates play, and all of the factors that he adds as a captain, as a leader on the pitch, they're so hard to replace when he's not there, and they're underrated traits. Liverpool were always better in the years where Liverpool have been delivering silverware. They've always been better with Jordan Henderson in the team. Now, you could argue last season we started to see the fringes of that. Maybe that's an evolution away from, or, you know, Naby Keita came in for the FA Cup semi-final and Liverpool went up a gear in terms of what they were able to deliver technically on the pitch. But until someone absolutely comes in and unequivocally can do what he does and more, then Jordan Henderson is essential to what Liverpool do. So it means that Thiago's got to step up and be a captain in midfield, a leader in midfield, and when you've got your best, most talented footballer also works the hardest, it brings the levels up of everyone around. It demands that you play to that level as well. And one of the things Andrew Robertson had said after Napoli was, there's not enough lads helping the mates out here. We need to make a point of looking out for each other. That's what this Liverpool team is formed on. That is the crux to this, to the beauty and the quality of this football team. And what you need, and that's why Liverpool's recruitment process, you've got to get brilliant footballers now, but you've also got to footballers who can do that, who can do all the dirty work and prepare to run all day long to make the whole team as a collective work. So yeah, Thiago's got a big job ahead of him to make sure that he maintains his standards and of course setting leadership, bringing standards up around him, and then the players around him who need to follow that. Fabinho, number one, thought his second half performance against Ajax really was him back to what he can do. It was him angry, he played angry and he won the ball back, and he was going in, he was being committed, he was being a physical presence, which I think has been sorely lacking from his game, and again particularly most noticeably in Napoli. But again, it brings him up a gear. And Harvey Elliott's the other one as well. So we're starting to see some like little tinges of, is Harvey Elliott, is he compromising what Liverpool are doing tactically? Blah, 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 mad think pieces on it. He's a fantastic footballer, he's a very young lad, he works really hard. I think his tactical understanding is brilliant for his age as well. And I can't sit here and say what he does or doesn't. He absolutely means he's as perfect as Jordan Henderson in terms of providing cover down the right-hand side or whatever. I think Liverpool's tactically switch what they do, to be perfectly honest. I think you see Fabinho drop in a little bit more. If Liverpool want to evolve as a side and they want to have more creativity in the team, then you're going to have to move away from that three-man engine room idea. And Thiago is a perfect footballer because he can do all the hard stuff too, but until Harvey Elliott develops physically a little bit more, and I think he's developed a lot, to be perfectly honest. He's not going to get taller, he's not going to get a foot taller, but he can get stronger and he can get cannier with how he uses his body. But at the moment what you're getting is a lad who's really comfortable on the ball, he's very good in transition, he links really well with the front three as well, and he can make that 3 or 4. Maybe you're losing out on something, but you're gaining potentially so much more from that. And I think that's what the next evolution of this midfield is all about, is getting more towards not a Kevin De Bruyne type. And what I mean by that is a brilliant creative footballer who's allowed to roam, who's allowed to go and dictate things up the top end of the pitch, but is obviously can come back and get stuck in as and when it's necessary. So Harvey Elliott's a big one for him, but having Thiago alongside him, it's only going to bring him on. I mean, and then in addition to that, hopefully Curtis Jones gets fit at some point. Really, I just feel so sorry for the kid. He's got the world at his feet, and as I talk about often, the physical attributes are there for him. He's about 6'1", maybe even taller. He's starting to fill out. He's quick, great touch, great vision. He never loses possession of the football, and he's got a great eye for goal. He's got all the raw attributes there, and another one, you play alongside Thiago, train with Thiago, see what the base level for entry is into the side, and if you can do that and possess those skills, then the future's going to be very bright. But when Liverpool come back from this break, they've got a balance in that, because a lot of lads going away on international duty. There'll be a core few who'll be back because they're injured, which means they'll be able to do stuff in the AXA but not on the pitch, and the ones who aren't going to go on international duty, having not been picked or have retired, etc., but potentially the likes of Thiago and obviously Milner and co, is that getting them out on the pitch and just reboot this team, make sure they're hungry and ready for the fight. It's a straight burn till mid-November and the break for the World Cup now, and Liverpool have got to be ready. But I think Liverpool have got the characters, they've got the personality, my God, they've got the talent. We know they've got the talent, but when they come back, it's no more excuses. Injuries are going to happen, nothing they can do about it. There's no more transfer window coming up until January, so they can't worry about that. They don't need to stress about that. Liverpool need to find internal solutions, and it's the senior players who need to step up. So encouraging to see Virgil performing again. Trent had a mixed game, but I think we saw a little bit more from him. Fabinho was much better in the second half, and again Thiago raised the levels. Matip being back in, these lads need to go and sort it out and allow room to breathe for the other lads to settle. So Nunes doesn't need the full weight of the Liverpool Football Club's expectation on his shoulders, nor does Harvey Elliott, nor does Fabio Carvalho, and nor will Calvin Ramsey when he eventually comes back in. The senior players can set that bar. They're going to be the ones who need to work the hardest. They need to drag Liverpool out of it, and then once that's there, hopefully the new players that we've added and the young players can just add that little bit of brilliance that give Liverpool an X factor that makes them unpredictable, harder to beat, and ultimately pick up more points. That's my dream anyway. Join me on my dream. What do you think on any of this? Let me know in the comment section underneath. Yeah, we're doing live shows over in LA on Friday night, Huntington Beach. Go to copconnect.com if you want to get tickets to that. And then we're going to Vegas Sunday night is the big night there as well. We're going to be partying in a very, very big way. So if you're on the West Coast, come and get involved with us. Before I go, the 888 Sport guys talking about the best British and English young talent. There's so much Trent slander in this full video, so I want you to watch the clip. I know you head over to the 888 Sport YouTube channel. Drop a like, say Maych sent me, and defend Trent to the nth degree because he's brilliant. We love him. He's the best right back in the world, and nobody was ever asked if Danny Alves had defensive lapses or whatever. So yeah, go and support our generational Scouse talent over there. You guys are boss. I love you very much. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ra.
Is the question marks over Trent in terms of like his development? Because obviously he's great going forward. When should he start improving defensively? Because he was abysmal.
I don't think he will. It's the issue with him is
should he
is the fact that
should
Jordan
he?
Henderson, he hasn't got worse at defending. He's doing what he's doing.
He hasn't got better.
He just hasn't got Jordan Henderson covering for him all the time.
Well, we've got to look at the Southgate factor as well, haven't we?
Southgate never fancied him. Southgate never fancied him when he was brilliant, though.
He's obviously absolutely immense. I'm not going to deny that.
Southgate doesn't fancy him as well because the options are Kyle Walker and Reece James.
And he's not getting above them.
But do you think that's wrong?
Good. No, I think they're better options.
What, you think both of those?
Both are better options. Yeah, I think Reece James is not as good as going forward, but he's very good and he's a better defender. And Kyle Walker is a better defender as well. I'm trying to be a Trent apologist. I see the mistakes and it frustrates me, but it is what it is. I've almost accepted that's just him now. What can he do going forward? That's all. I just accepted it. And Liverpool have accepted it. Hence why Liverpool have only bought in.
He's got to improve, though. He has to improve.
Will be really, really detrimental to you.
I agree.
If that philosophy that you said is replicated at the club,
Here's an example. When Kyle Walker joined Man City, he was by far the least comfortable on the ball. He was poor at it, but he was so good defensively, so much pace. Kyle Walker was an overlapping fullback, if everyone remembers when he first joined it. But you watch him as a footballer now, man. He's so comfortable on the ball because he's worked on his game. Every day is a school day, man. When you've got a teacher like Pep or a teacher like Klopp, and he has to improve. He just has to. He can't just be like, I'm good at that, but don't worry about it.